Welcome to Aware. We are dedicated to communicating information that inspires your positive growth and change. Are you interested in a peaceful planet? Are you interested in optimal health? Are you living with purpose? Are you enjoying your life? We realize each person can make a difference, and our mission is to empower your awareness. The choices that you make in every moment shape your life, and we encourage you to realize that you have your own answers and to always listen to your own truth. We invite you to stay aware.
Hello and welcome to the Aware Show. I am Lisa Garr, and such a great privilege to have you here with me today. We get to learn from brilliant people that are the best at what they do and inspire us to create positive growth and change in our life. And that's what we always talk about on the Aware Show. You could check out our podcast that airs on demand at any time. Wherever you listen to podcasts, go to the Aware Show. And you can also sign up for our newsletter and our email at theawareshow.com. Have you ever heard the phrase, it's all in the numbers? Well, that is what we're talking about today with master numerologist Glynis McCants. I always love my conversations with Glennis because they're so spirited and fun, but relevant to what's going on in the world today, because Glynis herself has been studying numbers and numerology for over 30 years. She is considered a master numerologist. She has impacted probably over 50,000 people with numerology readings, and she's known for her accuracy. We have had many, many different shows with Glennis, and she has always been incredibly accurate. She has such a great resource too. Her website is numberslady.com, numberslady.com, and you can put in your numbers and find out your, birth date and your life path number and all sorts of great numbers. And also, she has a book which is really super helpful for finding your own numerology, which is called Glennis Has Your Number. And super happy to have you here, Glennis. What is going on with the world right now? Tell me all about it.
Well, first of all, I will tell you, it's a lot of crazy stuff happening, but with good reason. And I only want to jump to say that I also have the book Love by the Numbers, because for those looking for love, that book is sacred. So let me say,
that's a cool concept, by the way. You can match your numbers with someone else's number to see if you're compatible, right?
Absolutely true. And, at least it's not even just the love affair number. You could do it with just your friends or people in business, just to go, well, what turns them off? What turns them on? What do they like? What don't they like? That's what it is. So it goes in the heart of who we are by the numbers. And it's very different than Glennis Has Your Number, which is a great book. It's like I call it the buffet of numbers, right? Because there's so many topics we cover, but Love by the Numbers really just concentrates on the human being. Who are you and who's that partner you're with? But the world number 2023, when we break it down, 2 + 0 + 2 + 3 is 7. I personally was looking forward to this number and world cycle, because it's, even though it's a test of faith, Lisa, it also gets back to who are we? Where do we stand? What are we doing? And my goodness, is this world not showing that off right now? I mean, let's go to the shootings for good reason. Forget that it's just about gun control. Now it's about manners. I can't pull in your driveway without you shooting me. I can't ask you to quiet down your shooting in my backyard because a baby's sleeping, that you might come and kill my family. This cannot sustain itself. So I'm telling you, in 2023, we have a breakthrough in that. And that breakthrough will be bipartisan. We are not going to sit here so extreme of one position or the other, because it's not working. It's not working. So that's big. And I knew something was going to happen. What my biggest thought was the environment. I said, it's nature. Mother Nature's going to speak her mind. She'll be so loud, we won't be able to ignore her. Well, look, check out the weather, Lisa. Tell me your thoughts about what we've gone through with the weather this year.
Well, I mean, this particular season in the West Coast has been extraordinary extremes with the rain, but we've needed it, which is what everyone has said. But worldwide, we've had extreme weather everywhere, and it's been going like that for many, many years now, I think.
This is more extreme. Example, my sister lives in New Zealand, and they had flooding that they've never had. So if you really do the research on what's happening with whether it's the hurricane, what about the fact that we had hurricanes here? Well, what about the tornado? right here in Monterey Park. I
And
mean, this is where I live, and they had one here. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. Extreme
yes,
weather where you look and go, I cannot believe that just happened. Or where
tornadoes
people
in the West Coast. Yes,
right? And
yes.
people saying this has never happened before, and also freezing. How? What about the snow? What about people being trapped? Wasn't it in Big Bear? They couldn't even get out of their cabin because it was the snow was so high, and unfortunately, some people lost their lives. So again, here's what makes me optimistic. Because when that bill was passed last year with Biden and the Republicans, it had $396 billion put away for the climate. Well, how's that for good timing? Because we're going to need it.
Right.
This again. So I think if you ask me, well, what is the big word? It's about what path have we been on that does not work? And what can we do to actually deal with it? That's what you're going to see all year. You're going to continue to see that throughout this year.
So this specific year, we have maybe reconciliation for things where the things are coming to the surface, and they have been for the last couple of years coming to the surface, becoming more
Yes.
apparent. Do you feel that we're actually in the place of reconciling anything that we're seeing?
Well, what I see is that we have to come back to compromise and get back to the humanity. I personally find it heartbreaking that politics is ever used in these sentences. It shocks me when someone says, "Oh, you talk about the shootings. Oh, that's political." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? It's about humanity. Don't
Mhm.
we love each other more than that? Does that AR-15 matter more than the dead babies, the kids getting shot at a Christian school?" It's like, please. So guess what? Seven also means let go, let God. It's a very spiritual thing where you surrender because we can't do this by ourselves.
Mm.
Clearly we have failed many tests. So I think you're also going to see more of a spirituality, but not hypocrisy, not, oh, this is how it is and follow me. And it's not sincere. I mean, real spirituality where we finally go, did you ever hear that line that in the war they say there's no such thing as an atheist in a foxhole? Have you ever heard of that? That's
No,
what we're
but
in.
I'm thinking about it. Yes.
Think about that, Lisa. When you're really scared, you finally go, "Oh, maybe I could get some help. Maybe
Hmm.
there is, a higher power or source energy. Could something help me?" That's what this year is. It's about you taking a look at your life and going, "Okay, maybe I can't do it all by myself. So I'm going to work on that part of who I am, so I don't feel alone, so I don't feel overwhelmed, and so that I feel I can still achieve my dreams." Now, numerology is a tool. I have, oh my gosh, how many ways? I know that I've touched millions of lives because one, the book has sold over 1 million copies. Glennis has your numbers all over the world. It's in 20 different languages. But more importantly, these people have been able to just see it differently, right? Like if you feel miserable in your life and you feel like it never works for me, and then you finally get a tool that brings you optimism and makes it feel possible. What's more exciting than that, Lisa?
Yes, yes, to lift you up, to move you
Yes.
through.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, speaking of lifting up, there have been several Mercury retrogrades. Well, this year we're in the middle of
Yes.
one in May.
Yes.
So, can you tell us about that, what it means, and how
Yeah.
it
It's
impacts us?
extremely important that people understand Mercury retrograde because what it touches is communication on every level. Now, mind you, your computer might get weird or your phone's not working properly. Stuff that you're used to seeing work smoothly doesn't. So instead of getting upset, which is a natural thing to do, right? We do naturally go, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening." But if you could say, "Oh, it's Mercury retrograde." I don't remember if you're the one who told me this nickname, but I love it. It's Merc the Jerk.
Oh, no. Yeah, but it makes sense.
Oh, it's Merc the Jerk. So I love that because it gets us back to laughing instead of taking it, feeling like the world's turned against you. Now, why does it matter in numerology? The whole reason I got into numbers and wrote the books in the way that I did was to help you communicate with people that are a challenge to you. These are not your buddies. These are not people who get you. These are people who misinterpret you. So I give you tools to communicate better. The problem is when Mercury retrograde shows up, that's the specialty of that energy, to destroy that, to make it worse, to make you really feel like you're in a bubble going, "Whoa, am I losing it? Have I forgotten how to communicate?" The answer is no. It's just Merc The jerk.
So when that happens, is
Yeah.
how does this flow create such a dissonance with us? What exactly
Well,
happens?
if everything is vibration, right? So numerology, numbers are vibration, they are energy. So when something messes with the vibration of the planet, right? When we talk about, they say the planet looks like it's going backward. They say it's an illusion, but it still appears to be doing that. That's reversing what is the norm. So what do I always suggest people do during this time? If you say, let's say you have a great conversation with someone and you just made a big old plan, do not assume they heard it. They might say they did. Suddenly it's Wednesday at 7 and they're a no-show because they didn't hear you. So
Hmm.
what do? You shoot an email a couple days later, do a follow-up, shoot a text message the day before. Just make sure that you are not communicating once or twice, maybe three times, because that's how upside down it is. If
Hmm.
you don't do that, you will be misinterpreted. The other thing I tell people, it's true. Signing a contract during Mercury retrograde, you can still do it, but you better get a top attorney or someone who really scans it for you, because there's a really good chance you're signing something you did not completely understand.
Mm.
That that's real common, Lisa. But if you play it that way, then you can have a great time there during this cycle. You can still make it work for you.
Okay, so that's about Mercury retrograde, but what about your numbers, your own personal numbers? What can
Right.
a person learn about their birth date or their name? How do they determine that?
Okay, so here's how that works. There are, first, let's go to Pythagoras, the number system I use. This is over 2,500 years old. The belief is that everything in the universe has vibration. So it's not just people, it's a building. It's when you walk down the street, that location, the city, the county, the country. I mean, it is all vibration. That's why sometimes you might fly to another country, and when you land, you're like, oh, why do I feel like I've been here before? It's really vibration. Chances
Ah.
are it's a soulmated energy to you. So it welcomes you. So
Hmm.
that's the idea of it. But when it comes to a person, there are three numbers that we pull from a name and three numbers from a birth date. The six numbers is called a numerology blueprint. So, example, the first number, because I'm not going to be teaching numerology right now, I will simply lay it out. When you, because you're using the Pythagorean number chart, and that number chart has a letter to every number. So the soul number is coming from vowels, the vowels in your name, added across, reduced to one digit. What does the soul mean? Fulfilling your soul. What makes you happy? What do you feel deep in your core? You want to know your soul number because the answer is there. The personality number, when we take the consonants, add them straight across, reduce it to one digit. It's a personality number. It means it's a part of your personality. And Lisa, I love this example because here I am, born on a 3-day, 3 life path communicator, humorous, here to motivate, uplift others. You know all that about me. But my personality number in my name is a 7. And 7 means mystery. You don't know the whole story. And it's my ability to pull back and observe. So see how cool that is? Like you
Yeah.
wouldn't know that with my obvious Glynis McCants personality,
Yeah.
but it's the 7 pulling back who does the research, who writes the books, because I'm
Ah,
observing. Yeah.
so it's a
So
good
that's
balance.
personality. Yeah, isn't that fun? And then you take those two numbers, add them together, and it's the power of your name. So that's why your name is so sacred. You know, the power of our name means, what do people get when they meet you? What do they feel? So, like in energy, we should look at yours for sure too, because I do want to know what those. I feel like yours is 224. Will I get to be right? Probably.
Lisa, so you take the I and the A, and then how do
Lisa,
you
and
determine
then
the
spell it.
value of
G
the I and the
A
A?
G A.
RR.
Okay. Yeah, it is RR. Sometimes I think it's AA and it's not. Okay, one. Yeah, yeah. So let me see, four.
And that's my
I
last name.
get to be right. I get to be right on you. I thought I was. Because I always think of you as someone with all those twos. And that, by the way, I'm telling you, because there's another part of you, there's a business side of you. It's like, I don't mind working hard. I need my paycheck. I just want to make sure I'm okay for my future. You're generous. The two is the one who's constantly figuring out a way to give. You're about giving back. So you receive and you want to give right back.
Mm.
But so going to this, in your case, is pretty simple. Your soul's a 2. What does that mean? You're fulfilled by love, family, bonding, music, good food, good get togethers. You know, you're very, that's your soul, right? Oh, and then when you meet energy, like me as a teacher, all of us, you love this stuff because you're learning. So you got a 2 soul, you got a 2 personality. So that, now what's powerful about that,
Wow.
it's in alignment, right? But it also means you have to protect yourself, Miss Lisa. It means you could feel too much, care too much. And that's not good either, right? We have to have our boundaries. But it
Yes.
does mean intuitive, like psychically in tune. When you meet somebody, like you feel it. You're like, I know who you are pretty fast. So that means if someone's toxic, you need to let them go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye. You do. And then the third number for you, we add those together. 2 plus 2 is 4. Your power name number is 4. What is that? When I learn, I teach. That means every time you learn something new, you want to pass it on to someone else. That's from your name. Now, do you see how cool that is? And then we continue the day we're born. So you were born the 29th. Is that what you said?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So we got the 2 plus 9, which is 11. So first we're dealing with master number 11, but we always embrace the original energy, which is the basic numbers 1 through 9. So you got the 11 and then we go /2. So here you are now with 3 2s in your chart. Wow. So you need to do yoga. You have to do meditation. You have to do
Yes.
all these things to get back to your core. And then when you take your month and day, in your case, it's a 5. The 5 has nothing to do with all those 2s. It just doesn't. So what do? Here's how you make it a positive. Having fun. Celebration of life. Natural detective, Lisa. If you feel like you don't know the answer, you're going to dig to find out what happened.
Oh, I try.
Right, you sure will. And then I recall your whole date of birth is 8. Now, mind you, in your chart, you are fairly naturally matched to yourself, meaning what you see is what you get. But you need to know those numbers to understand what matters most to you and who do you attract. Because if someone shows up with numbers that are really toxic to you, first of all, you're going to feel it pretty fast because you've got all those 2s. But sometimes, we're in business or we have no choice, right?
Right,
we have
right.
to work with that person. And that's why I wrote Glennis has your number and love by the numbers to say, okay, fine. So you're different. How do you communicate in a new way so they understand you? That's what it's all about.
And
But
so
those
if
are the
somebody
vibrations. Yeah.
if someone took their vowels and their consonants, how would they know which vowel is related to which number?
Well, the Pythagoras number system. And again, those are in my books, but also if you Googled right now, you can say Pythagoras number chart, you'd see it.
Okay.
You'd see it.
And
Yeah,
then
it's
they would
there.
go to Numbers Lady and then figure out the meaning of them.
Right. At numbercity.com, they can look up their life path number and their attitude number because those are very sacred. See,
Mhm.
your life path, if you don't fulfill that, you won't feel fulfilled in your life. Now,
Yeah.
there's only one exception to what I just said. If let's say you have, like my husband, he's a great example. He is 696 646. Well, he's got 4 6s out of 6 numbers. That number is magic for me. It's very naturally matched to me. His life path is a 4, which is a challenge to me. But because we've been married forever, it's been 20 years together, he'll say to me, Glennis, the 4 in me needs to talk to you right now.
Right. Right. So is that what you do when you have somebody who's really challenging in your life
Yes,
or in your work?
yes.
You just
You
now
bring
know
up
how
the
to deal with
number.
that person differently, right?
You
Not take it
have
too
to
personal.
tell them. And you need to just, it's not personal. That's the key. When we say challenge or toxic, it's a two-way street. So even though a person feels, oh, I knew he was toxic to me, what they're not considering is you're also toxic to them. It's a two-way street. So that's what I teach. And the thing I wanted to bring up, because I've really felt this recently, I created the numerology calendar that helps you pick the best days when you have to schedule something important. But what I have found, like example, I have a 2 attitude, which we know is very sensitive. And I told you that the 5 energy, when I come up against 5 on certain dates, I can feel that 5 messing with my 2. I'm in shock how deeply I feel it. And so people need to know these things, right? Just like Mercury retrograde. If you know it's there, you won't take it personally. You can still have a good day. You just focus on different things, right? Don't try to conquer the world when it's a challenge day for you. But you can still have a good day because you're going to have the right attitude. If someone's rude, you will not discuss it that day. You'll get back to them when it's a good day for you.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's always a good thing is to take a break, step back and discuss it on
You know,
another day.
yeah, regroup. And sometimes, especially for communicators, when you go quiet, you give them a chance to think about what they just said.
Hmm.
See, if
It's
you sit
always a
there
good idea.
isn't it? Yeah, talking and defending is not going to cut it. You don't want to do that.
Nope, not at all.
Yeah.
Um, so, all right. So, in terms of that, that's a great solution. Is there a different, uh, like our course of events that are happening right now with the world? We've got
Yes. Yes.
various events happening. There's, election events in this country. There's world events with the climate and coronation and all sorts of things happening in our world.
Oh, yeah.
What do we have to look forward to that maybe could help with some of the divisiveness that's happening in our country and some of the extreme hatred that's going around in the world with wars and so forth?
So here's what's interesting. That phrase, be the change you wish to see in the world, it's so true.
Mm,
It does start with you. You have to be honest with yourself. Like, again, if it's political and you have an opinion, but you find that you're raging or you're angry or you see the headlines and you're fear, whoa, you are now a part of it. You don't mean to be. You think it's out there. It's actually with you. So I'm about meditation for that reason and affirmations to get myself to make sure that what I'm putting out there is healing and good. And what's great, with all the shows I've done and all the people I've dealt with, overall, we're good people. Overall, it's a positive. It's the tyrants, it's the dictators, it's the one that want all power. Anyone who wants all power, first of all, they always lose. It may take a minute, but we, the people, have to pull together. And I see that. If you say, Glennis, where are we headed? Yeah, we have some school of hard knocks here. We're going to hit our head a bit, but we're going to get there. And I look very forward to what's to come. It's not a bad thing. It's not like gloom and doom. Lessons to be learned is not gloom and doom. We have to learn it so we can get better. But we're in the midst of it. It's like the storm. We're in a
it
storm
was
right now.
though.
Yeah.
I mean, looking back to 2020, those numbers
Yes.
were pretty devastating, right?
Well, here's what it was. This is the big phrase. 2020 really represents clear vision, seeing things as they are, not as you wish them to be. That's what happened in 2020. So
Mhm.
we saw things clearly in a way we didn't. That pandemic, let's be very clear. There were many ways to handle what happened. If you look at the stats out there in the world, how many people died here versus all over the world, we could have played it a little differently, but through our independence and stubbornness of saying my way or the highway, there was a price to be paid. So 2020 just made you see what was really happening. Then 2021 was based a little more on what is that at 5? It means we had to find new ways to communicate, right? We ended up doing Zoom. I mean, I thought it was kind of cool how many different things we did, right? It's like, you're not going to take me down. I'm not going to just quit because I can't go outside. So I saw it as growing. And remember, 2020 represents the 4, which is the teacher. So we've learned a lot. This is all about growth, Lisa. Since the year
Yes.
2000, that was the newborn baby. So now, well, how old's the baby? The baby's 23. The baby's been drinking for a couple of years, right? Baby might get in a little bit of trouble, but as the baby grows, it gets better.
Right. Yes. I mean, there's so much to say about this, but I
Yes,
think we definitely learned so much in 2020,
yes, that's why.
and changes and so forth have happened since then, both good and not, and challenging.
Yeah.
What about if we can look forward on projections this year? There we hear a lot about the economy, we hear a lot about the statistics around the economy. Is there anything numbers wise, since that's such a numbers
Well,
related?
technically, it is the year of 8 that comes up. Next year's world number, that'll be about money. That'll be really taking a look at money. So yes, right now
In a
we're
good
dealing
way or
that, my dear, lies the question, right? What is
oh,
the number 8? I always say you can trace the 8. It goes round and round. There's a positive and a negative. So that means if we're going in a negative way, we can flip it to the positive. So that goes back to the decisions that will be made. But I'm just saying that's when the money happens. This whole crypto thing that happened, I saw that a mile away. I never felt solid and good because people come to me, billionaires come to me, celebrities come to me and ask me questions. Oh, should I invest? I said, I don't feel that solidness. I don't think if it were to be that, it's not there yet. And then it crumbled. And I thought, I saw that. So that's why when I tell you right now, what are we focused on? Human beings, getting back to love, compassion, actually caring about you, not saying oh, you're dead, but you know what? You were an illegal anyway. It can't be that. We are humans. That's all we are. So I think this year points that out. And remember, I said 7 is the observer. We're observing, we're seeing things. If you'll notice, though, your computer, Lisa, please tell me you notice how you could say something to me right now and there'll be an ad on your computer. Haven't
Yeah.
you seen? We are really under siege. So I say to people, when you get online, do not click on the link they want you to read. Don't do it, because then they're just trying to figure out who you are. And then they want to poison it, because maybe you were having a bad day and you read a couple of bad articles. Now they're going to haunt you with that same subject. You have more power to move away from that. Like, I'm encouraging people, do your healing, do the affirmations, read those thoughts for the day that make you happy and feel optimistic, because the poison around us is what's undoing everybody, the whole world. Like you said, it's not just here, although I still think because we're the United States, it's more highlighted here, but it's throughout the world. And we have the power to fix this, and I stand by the fact that we will.
Is it more highlighted in the United States because of the size of the country?
Now, here's what's funny about the United States. It's not that big.
Right.
The United States is 320 million people, and yet you go to India or China and they have billions of people, but they play it differently. Here's what we are. We wanted to give us everything, right? Hey, freedom of speech. Say whatever you want. You can lie all day. Who cares? Freedom of speech. Well, that promotes poison. And suddenly you put poison in the well and people are drinking the poison. So, and yet we got to stand by that. And then guns. There's no way the guns will be taken from people in the Second Amendment. But my goodness, does that 18-year-old need the AR-15? Probably not. And more importantly, what I say to people now when they get upset and say, but no one's taking mine, I said, hey, I'm glad you're good with your guns, but guess what? A lot of people aren't. And if we're when I think of 4th of July last year, I remember it was a beautiful day here. And then that kid decided to kill a bunch of people at the parade for no reason at all. No.
In the hands of the wrong people.
But that's who's got him. The reason it's become, okay, if you ask me, Glennis, how did this happen? Social media. We suddenly found each other, right? Maybe I'm an angry kid who hates my life, and I met a bunch of angry kids who hate their life, and now we got a gun. So I'm simply saying the United States has so much freedom,
right,
that it can backfire as well, and we need to find a balance. There should be some rules in place that are not in place right now. And if you look at the polls, everyone says they want them. What is it? 90% say background checks for guns. I mean, we have these simple things that could make a difference that have not happened. But if you said, will it happen? My answer is yes. And my answer is this year. Like, as we head towards the end, maybe that's what it takes, but it cannot and will not stay like this.
Like, how do you know that? Is it something that's showing up in the numbers?
7, honey, it's the 7. It's observing. Thank God or think you're God. If I've got that AR-15 and someone said, quiet the baby, and I shoot him, who am I playing? I just decided the life is over. Cannot sustain it. Cannot. So it is this year. And it's spiritual. Yeah, this is about, look, they talk about lack of faith, but I've noticed there's been an increase in people trying to find answers. And that's
I feel that too. And I feel that people are starting to, I mean, maybe this is just, no, I think more than just my world, a lot more people are interested in humanity, in spiritual growth, in personal development, anything that connects and moves people towards the right thing. I feel that that's happening a lot in the world. And because maybe we were just so burnt out from doing it the wrong way, or COVID might have brought us closer together and helped us reassess what's important. That could also have been the case.
I'll put it this way. Before the pandemic, I remember everyone was like, I need my space. It's so crowded. I'm so sick of it. And then all of a sudden the pandemic happened, like, oh, wow, I miss humans. So I watch when I go to a restaurant and see all the people having fun. It brings me great joy. I'm like,
you
wow.
can see that. I mean, there's a resurgence of people gathering together. You can see it at concerts and music festivals and sports events. People have that. It's almost like a pent up demand to gather together and to travel.
Yes. It's a
lot of travel happening.
Oh, and thank you for bringing that up, because the number 7 promotes travel. There are 3 numbers that do it. The numbers 1, 5, 7. Basically, they should wear a shirt that says anywhere but here, because they want to go.
Well,
It's like,
that and combine that with all of the people that had to delay their plans, their travel
yeah,
plans, and
yes,
bank them. So
yes.
all of those
No, it's
miles and trips
and
are
it's also an appreciation of ocean, mountains, plants, flowers,
space.
nature's beauty. Lots of gratitude for that.
Yeah,
And so when you're traveling, maybe it was your bucket list and you finally get to go to that location. That's
yeah.
very much a part of this year.
Right,
Mhm.
right. So, is there a way to determine your own number? So you talked about your soul number and your life number with the vowels and the consonants. What about your life path number?
So the life path being the most important, what you do is you take your full date of birth and reduce it to one digit. So like, let's do an example. If I say someone born 2-2, let's just go with those twos, 2-2, 1971, and you'd add it straight across. 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, plus 9 is 14, plus 7 is 21, plus 1 is 22. So the first thought is 22 is the master number. And I cover that. If you go to numbercity.com, click under numbers, you can read all about the master number 11, 22, and 33.
Okay.
But again, in this instance, I'd still say in the basic number 1 through 9, 22/4, because 22 has that 4 behind it. So what is 4 energy? The 4 would promote solid, just being the solid person, seeking knowledge. They're outspoken. Like if you said, what do I teach 4s? Choose your words carefully. They're so direct. And the directness, they can get misinterpreted. And when the person they care about gets hurt by it, they actually feel bad. They're like, wow, that's not what I meant. I was just being honest. But I say, yeah, that's still an art form. Telling the truth, right?
Yep.
Can't be blunt. So every one of us has, if I go basic, 1 through 9. So let's say your full date of birth reduces to a 1. The
Even if
1
it's
is
an 11, or I guess it would only be
there's no math number there. The
right.
only time it would happen, it'd be 11/2, 22/4, 33/6. Otherwise, you don't have to even think about that master number energy.
Right.
Yeah. And for the master numbers listening, because you always have them, I'll say this. All it means is you can never live in your master number at all times. It's not possible because it's your highest frequency.
Mm,
It means like when you perform, like Meryl Streep is 33/6. When she's acting, she is out there, master number all the way. The woman is nominated every time she turns around. But when she goes home, she's back to being a 6, which is what? She's obsessed with family. She loves to cook. Her home means the world to her. That's a 6. So that's what I mean about when you have your master number, use it in your work, use it at your highest level. And when you come home, take off that hat and relax into your energy, the basic energy. So the 1, ambitious, driven, self-motivated, they often feel like, and I know this is because at the beginning, like 1 is the beginning, that they're not going to get there. It's like running the race. What's next? Where am I going?
yeah.
I'm like, it's okay to stop. It's okay to acknowledge what you've accomplished before you move on. The number 2, technically I'd say peacemaker, mediator. They don't want conflict, but the shadow side of 2 is the terrible 2, stomping their feet, getting upset. And they look like a little kid when they get upset because 2 is it's a gentle energy. It's one of my favorites. Like I always try
It's a
to heal.
tantrum.
Yes, but they look like a kid. When the 2 gets upset, I always want to help them heal that. Like, especially, there's nothing sadder than a 2 that gave up on love because 2 literally is the love number. But their hearts have been broken. So I help them heal it to give themselves a chance to open up again. But they're also intuitive. Always remember the 2
But it's
picks up.
helpful to know, though, but that
Yeah,
sensitivity is your
yeah.
nature. Hmm.
Yes, it's who you are. The number 3, communication. Again, laughter. If a 3 doesn't have a sense of humor, something went real wrong. I mean, go back to mom and dad. Somebody did not give them the round of applause they deserve. But a 3 that's been healed, loved for what they are, they're a light. They're known for eyes, smile, voice. They're dynamic. You will pick them up. You'll know who they are. But it is communicator. They can be a counselor. They can be a performer, actor. Lots of Oscar winners are 3 life paths. The number 4, again, what did I say? Seeking knowledge. A plus B must equal C, but they also like buildings. Like if they look in the world to see homes, they'll notice it. They'll notice the architecture. It's not uncommon that they're builders. They love a solid foundation.
Hmm.
Number 5, no dull moments. Like I said, freedom. Don't control me. Don't run my life. So even with you, Lisa, as much as you've got your 2 and your 4 and your 8, you also have a 5 saying, I gotta have fun. right?
Yeah.
I got to get out of here. Yes,
What
that's her
happened to
attitude.
her?
Yeah. And then, so no, and detective, they get to the truth. They want to know. They hate to be in the dark. They don't like it. The number 6 tends to be the nurturer, like a parent energy. They love, if they embrace that, they're a great parent. They love their home, their family. It's sacred. Now, if they don't go that way, they tend to run a massive company and their employees are treated like kids. You see, like that's their big family. But they're powerful people and they have to learn to say it's going good and I deserve it because they're always afraid something's wrong. Damage control. Number 7, again, observer. Who am I? What am I? Why am I here? They always want that answer. And if they play it right and do the research, they'll get the answer. But they also have a loner quality. So if you meet a 7 that's social, it's a good chance there's other numbers that promote that. But when they go home, you do not knock on that door if you're not invited. They're not going to open that door.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah.
But they're smart. They go quiet, but when they speak again, they usually have something profound to say. They have to be careful with addiction because what I say when 7s get addicted, they're just trying to drown all those thoughts. And I say, find healthy ways to do that. The number 8, it's an image thing. It's carrots. Like, how can we make it pretty? Whatever that looks like. One eyeball, put a little mascara on that one eyeball. Make it cute. What can I do to make it just a little nicer? Hey, that table's plain. I'm going to put some flowers on it. Just anything that gives it a little sparkle. It matters. The 8 is also cares deeply about issues. When we talk politician, the ones who really profoundly get in for real reasons, it's 8. And 8's like, I can't sit here and let this happen. I got to do something.
I can't stop type of thing. Yes.
Yeah, I can't sit here on the couch complaining and do nothing if I'm capable. So it's a power number. It is. But they also have to watch what they say because they are one, like the 4, very direct. This is what I think. And when they feel misinterpreted, they feel bad. It's like, that's not what I meant. I was just trying to get through it, kind of get to the point. The number 9. Now, if 1's the beginning, 9's the number of completion. Old soul energy as a child. They say things beyond their years. And then as a 9, they're supposed to help the world. Humanitarian. What do I do to make the world a better place? And they must let go of their past. Anything that went wrong as a child, not uncommon for a 9 to kind of harbor it, but it will make them unhappy. If they want to be happy, they have to find ways to be in the moment. But they make big differences. Like I come across 9s all the time. As a matter of fact, a lot of our spiritual leaders, Yogananda, Mother Teresa, 9s.
Huh.
Yeah, there's power in that energy. Yeah.
So just back to the 7 for a second that you said, because that's the year that we're in, you said that that's someone who really needs to speak their mind. And a lot of that is going on these days.
Well, right. But I said they have to be careful, right? Like when we go to the number 7, if you said to me, what are the most blunt numbers in numerology?
Yeah.
I would say 4, 7, 8. And why is that? Because they're based in truth and they get tired of it. Like if someone's talking too much, like, please stop talking. Well, the 7 will do that. I call it, sometimes what comes out, it's like a lethal weapon. I'm like, watch it. But what I'm saying is that's only if you push them. Don't push a 7 to talk till they're ready. If you leave them alone, by the time they come back, it's good information. And
if you look back to, like if you do a compatibility between the 7, the year, and then the month of, what would we just did? 4?
Right.
April. Yeah. So how would you use those two as compatible? Can you compare the month to the year?
No. I mean, it's fair to say that if the month is a challenge to the world year number, you need to pay attention to the difference, right? But technically, the 4 and the 7 were compatible. And let me just say real quick about that, because something really great happened. I do a newsletter. It's free, but I cover the month. I'm like, what's in store for this month? I said that the month of 4, if you were up to no good, you'd be busted as quick as you were up to no good. Well, remember the kid who got busted with the classified documents? It was like on a Friday when they found out he had them. A week later, he was arrested.
Yes.
So I noticed the swiftness in the month of 4 of how quickly people did something wrong, and there was a repercussion for it.
There was the whole fallout with the Fox Dominion lawsuit.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's right. And then the big settlement happened in that month of 4. They're like, okay, fine. We're going to pay. We're not going to go to court on this one. So I'm telling you, that's why you want to pay attention to all energy in yourself. There's the day, there's the month. It's what you're going through this year that you're in, but also The general month tells you, example, May, no dull moments, month of 5.
Oh.
But luckily, it's a natural match to 7. So it just means use your mind. Use your mind. What are you working on? What projects need to get done? Use it. Use this powerful
It's
time.
interesting because the very first day of May, the writer's strike happened. So,
Wow, right? Isn't
yep.
that powerful? Right? Because what are we talking about? What are writers? They literally use their mind 24/7. They have to create, they create scenarios. They have to see the whole script before it's done in their mind. So for them to quit in the midst of this. Now, what does the 5 also mean though? No dull moments. See, 5 moves really quickly. This month is going to be super fast. So we all have to just realize then I'm going to write down exactly what I hope to achieve daily and mark it as I go to make sure it gets done. Right. That makes all the difference. But I like knowing what the energies are, Lisa, because it prepares me for the month. And then, of course, me
Right.
being Glennis, I'm always looking for the example, because it's exciting
Are
to see the
there
difference in life.
are there months that are specific challenge months to the 7 this year?
Yes, of course. Yes.
no.
And so to tease your people, they'll just have to find out what those are because I covered them in the free newsletter. I really do. I say, oh, it's the
Well,
month of, I might say it's August, which is 8, is a challenge of 7. Now, what do you do? And then I give you advice on how to navigate those 2 energies and still have a good month. Yeah, that's the
okay.
point.
Well, there's elections coming up next year in this country, in the US. Do you see anything or anticipate anything for 2024?
See, this is what I said, and I said this to you when we had the 2020 election. I absolutely nailed it. It was September 2nd when I was talking to George Norrie, well before the election, and I said Joe Biden would win. And I said what I saw in numbers, it was a percentage, because let's face it, there's something very interesting that happened with the Clinton election that was very different, and the bipartisan committee of the Senate said Russia tampered with that election. Now, Russia doesn't deny it. They don't care, but it matters. So I saw energy. He was so in alignment, meaning Joe Biden. Let's put it this way, keeping it simple. He's born on a 2-day, he's a 2 life path, but he's literally born the 20th. And Kamala was born the 20th. Well, was it not 2020 or did I miss something?
Oh,
so you got,
funny.
yeah, and the day we're born is what we look like. So he's born the 20th, he looks like 20. She's born the 20th, looks like 20. In 2020?
Looks like 20?
Right? So I absolutely saw that. And I said it would be more than 4 million votes, meaning in the popular vote. And of course, he hit 7 million. So what I do about politics, I never talk about it necessarily the year before, because that's not, we're not there. We're in the cycle of 7. There's so much that's going to go down, Lisa.
Between now and then.
Yes, for us to make an informed decision of what is good for us. It's all now. So next year happens to be a world number 8. Now it happens to be a natural match to Joe. It's also a natural match to Trump. But I do believe there's so much going on in litigation with Trump that he has to deal with now. Like that's the difference. And we all have a personal year cycle. So in Joe's case, he's in a cycle right now. Let me confirm, cycle of 2. 2.
Okay.
It's his life path. So right now it's like that emotional thing, trust your instincts. He's keeping his nose to the grindstone because we live in a society, it doesn't matter who's president, basically 50% hate your guts. I mean, that's what we are doing in this country.
Yep, that's true.
So you can't take it personally. And Joe, he's made it funny. Like he's got a sense of humor about it. And some people don't have a sense of humor. So that's the other thing I teach all people who want to lead. You cannot take it personally. No, you cannot. You can't respond to every barking dog. You got to stay focused and work on your goals to get there. So that's coming up. That's not today. Yeah. But I will say, I'll talk real quickly about Putin and Zelensky, because they are such a fascinating numerology blueprint. They have a soulmate connection, 4 numbers out of 6. And what does that mean? It means they're forever linked. You tell me in the history book, what history book will not cover Putin and Zelensky? Of course, it's the lead story. Now, what's interesting, they both have the 7. They both have the 6. Like they share the same confused and not sure energy. But last year when I was asked, when Putin invaded. I said, if he invades, he hadn't done it yet. I said, it'll be the biggest mistake of his life. I knew that because he was in a cycle of 5. When you're in a cycle of 5, you're not supposed to make a big move. You don't quit a job. You don't break up with someone. Well, you sure don't start a war. you
Wow.
don't you don't think you're going next door. I'll just, have a war for 4 days and take back Ukraine. Didn't happen.
Mm.
But I saw that in the numbers. That's what I mean. There are times for us as people to make a move, and there are times to proceed with caution. And that's not what happened. So it's been fascinating because my favorite thing, Lisa, if anytime there's someone in the news that's a couple or history is happening, I want those numbers. Who was involved? Who was involved? What was happening? What personal year was he in? What day was that? Was it a toxic day or a good day? Yeah, it tells you a story. Numbers tell us a story.
So can each day tell you a story? So if you're going to wake up and it's going to be like the third or the fourth or fifth, can you,
Yeah,
does that day tell a story for you
every single day.
every
Yeah,
day? Great.
yeah.
Good to know.
So
You have
yeah,
that in a calendar, don't you?
yes, I do. Well, in the calendar, I actually did it for you. So you don't even have to, your brain doesn't have to do what mine does,
Which is great.
right? I did it for you. It's just literally simple. This is a caution day. This is a sun with a cloud day, which simply means still a good day for me. I just can't count on other people. That's what that means. But a caution day means this energy is not in alignment with me. Therefore, I need to step back. I need to choose my words carefully so that I'm not misinterpreted, and definitely avoid conflict. And if you play it like that, you can end up having your caution days can become really good days for you. And then some days are even better than that, like they're extra sunny. And all it means is all 3 energies in a date are in alignment with each other. That's when I encourage people to have surgery, encourage people to get married, encourage people to launch a company. Use the numbers to do that. And yeah, that's the calendar. But for me, here's an example. When things were going berserk here with my computer, I said, oh my gosh, okay, I know it's Mercury retrograde. Then I go, yeah, but what's today? What's today's energy? Because Gina originally offered me a different date. And I said, sure. And then the date changed. Well, today is a 2-5 day. So there are 2 things happening in its energy, Lisa.
Explain that.
Well, today's the 2nd, and then you add the whole thing up, month and day. 5 plus 2 is 7. The world number 7. 7 plus 7 is 14. 1 plus 4 is 5. So the whole date's a 5, and the day is a 2. Hello.
Ah, got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So it
So
helps to know that. So what do I say? When I give advice, I'd say, okay, the 2 of you might be sensitive. Don't take things personally. And then the 5 means put on your music, listen to something you love, make sure you go out, have a bite to eat, have some fun. Because ultimately the whole date's a 5 for fun. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It really, really does impact you. I mean, if you
Every
think about
day.
it, if anybody wants to look back onto May 2nd, if this airs after that, was that a
Yes.
rough day for you?
Yes. And then they can look at the numbers. Because when I put that out there, like some days are so obvious, I'll write to my Facebook or Instagram, and they come back with a ton of stories when it was a really toxic day,
Right.
validating. And then someone else will jump in and say, actually, I love today. It was a great day. I say, yeah, what's your birthday? Sure enough, completely in alignment with the day energy. Of it. I mean, I can think of some memes he's put on Twitter that maybe just go, whoa, what is going on with him? And yet I know in his heart, he thinks it's being funny. So this is what we'd learn about Elon from his name. And then I'm going to explain this for everybody. It's the first vowel in your name that gives us insight about you. This is like an appetizer in numerology, but it's fun because if you're at a party, everyone has a vowel, right? I mean, if you think the minute I meet someone, I don't have an instant insight without asking for a birthday, I don't do that unless I want to charge them MasterCard or Visa. I mean, it's going to be a reading. Forget it, Lisa. I'm just like, hey, what's your name? And then my brain instantly breaks it down. Okay, ready? Elon. The first vowel is an E. What is E? E is 5 in numerology. What did I say? The shadow side of 5, drama, chaos, craziness. Okay? He loves to stir the pot. Yet, with what he's accomplished in his life, I mean, yes, at this point, he's lost billions of dollars with some of the choices he made here with his Tesla and with Twitter. But before that, the guy was on fire. He's considered the wealthiest man in
And Tesla
the
wasn't
world.
such a bad idea.
No, no. But what he's really good at, he's actually got a salesman thing in him. He's able to get people behind him, right? Because it takes money. to back a project. He was able to do that. But I would tell you the numbers 157 are the mind numbers. They're very cerebral. He's got a very strong mind. And so it's not surprising to me that he could be eccentric as well for the same reason.
Mm-hmm.
But he's an ideal person. He's got that. So the E in his name would automatically tell me celebrator, having fun, using his head, but not always thinking what comes out of his mouth. I'd know that just from the E. Okay. Then we go on. So let's start with the regular, which is A. Think of people with an A. Just think of someone in your life, Lisa, who's the first vowel's an A, and then I'll tell you about them by just that.
With the first letter an A?
The vowel, the first vowel in their name. I mean, look, Kathy has a first vowel.
Yes.
Just think of somebody.
Sandy.
Sandy. Who do you know, though? Can you think of someone with that?
I know a Sandy.
You also know a Marcy. How about that?
Oh, I do know a Marcy. Yes, I do.
Okay,
Yes.
so we could go to Marcy. A is one. What is one? Very multitasking, ready for the next thing. So that it's a high energy person. And that you get that just from the A. So when I hire people, if I get someone with a name where the initial starts with an A, I automatically think, okay, I want to put them in charge of something. I want them to be responsible for this section of what we're doing. And then high praise. The one always appreciates the positive feedback. So I make sure that I'm proud of them and I think they're doing great because then they give me excellence. Okay. That's just from the A. So do you see how that is helpful to you?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because you don't have to know the person as much. Just make a note of that because that's the beginning.
Okay.
The I energy. Who do you know has that?
Wait, going back to the A, Kayla, our daughter, with an A.
It's you. Good.
That's interesting.
Good. Now let me ask you about her, something about Kayla too with the A. Does she ever feel like she's running out of time or she's not getting it done as quickly as she wants to? Do you ever see her get frustrated? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's coming from the A as well. Because it's very much running the race, afraid they don't have all the time they need to do it. They get frustrated and they want it yesterday, ideally. But that's A energy. So
That's
there you
interesting.
go.
Yeah.
And then I, so like the name in Ian would be an I, but who else? We know so many. How about Gina? How about Lisa? I like that Lisa's not thinking of her own name.
I know, Lisa and Gina. I was going there. Yes.
Oh, good. So what is it? I is 9. First thought, family. Always stories about the family. Now, if as children, there were some issues, like maybe losing the mom or dad early. Oh my goodness. You meet someone who has that I energy, that is their first story. You're going to hear how they're still mourning the loss of that parent.
Right.
If they felt they were not encouraged as a child to, again, achieve the dream, or maybe they wanted to be on swim team, but the parents wouldn't take them to the swim class. They don't forget that. I energy remembers the past, and then it becomes their job to make their life better. And if they're a parent, they try to be the best parent ever.
Right.
They want to do whatever they thought their parents came up short. They try to get rid of that. It's like, I'm not going to be that way. I have plans to make it better. And I also means people assume you know what's going on, even if you have no clue. You're the I energy. People think you know. So as a result, you don't like letting people down. The I feels obligated to help other people. They want to make sure that they know when they were in that room, they made it a better situation. That is I energy. So again, imagine knowing all that when you know nothing, right? You just met someone, you hear the first name, and you just make a note about that. How much they care.
What happens if someone changes their name? Will it change their energy, or if they go by a different
change
name?
that soul energy? Sure it will. Sure it will. The only name that you cannot touch, the sacred name, is your destiny number. And that comes from the birth certificate name when you first got here. So it's like baby girl. Even if you were adopted and it only said baby girl, you would break down that energy to find out your destiny number. It's the first energy name you were given. But otherwise, you can always alter your name. And remember, there are 3 numbers to a name. So example, I read people who are going to get married. Sometimes it's a mistake. I'm like, no. You guys look really good on paper right now. Don't ruin that. Do not take his name, because if you do, those 3 numbers go from being compatible to a change. Why would you do that? And that's why when a man says, when I married her, she totally changed. He's talking name energy and he doesn't know it.
That's so interesting. Yes. For changing names. It's very interesting.
It makes a huge difference. Now, like Bob and Joe,
John.
Oprah. Oprah's one of my favorite ones. The O is 6. It's magnetic. It's strong. They're meant to be in charge. But also, if they're parents, they take pride again in being a good parent. But Oprah has that big O. And what does she try to do? Mother the planet.
Mhm.
She takes care of everybody, right? She's always doing some sort of mothering. Look at her animals. They probably have their own mansion in the backyard for all we know, right? I mean, this woman kicks it up a notch, but it's the O that does that. It's
Yes.
magnetic and strong.
Yes.
And then the U, the name Julie comes to my mind, but the U, can you think of anyone as a U as their first vowel?
No. No.
Okay. All right, June, if someone named June, if we knew
Right.
someone Julia
Julie,
Roberts.
yeah.
Right. So here's the thing about you, communicator. It's the 3. It's laughter. It's playful. So if you think of Julia Roberts through the years and her laugh is very distinctive, well, that's the you. The laughter, the playfulness. Think of her big smile. That's coming from that you. I happen to know that she's ultimately a 7 life path, which means when the curtain's down, she's gone. It's like, don't bother me at
Mhm.
all. She's very
Mhm.
private. But the you is the playful, fun communicator side. So you make a note that if you're looking for someone who's got a sense of humor or is playful and like a little bit of a counselor wanting to help you, hang out with someone who's got that you as their first vowel.
Right.
And then here's your exception. Remember when it says, and sometimes why, right? A-E-I-O-U, and sometimes why. The Y will count as a vowel in your name if there is no vowel next to it. So I'll give you the example. Glennis, Glynis. There's the Y, but there's no vowel, right? There's
Mhm.
the L and the N. Well, Y is 7. So remember I said, here I am a big communicator, but I have the 7. So here's my 7 soul. What does that mean? Oh, Lisa, if it's a full moon, if I'm looking at the ocean, that nature, when I read something profound, I pick up a book that, like spiritual books with knowledge I didn't have, so happy. That's my soul energy from that name.
Very
So,
interesting.
right, because how about this? If you met someone like Gwyneth Paltrow, she also has that Y energy. But if you meet someone, Yolanda, that it would be the Y first, right? But because it's next to an O, it's not a vowel.
Hmm.
See that? Y-O? The O would matter in the name Yolanda. But anytime you meet someone as a Y, the name Gwyn, when people spell it Gwyn, it means you do not know the whole story. Like you'll meet them and maybe they're very social, it's their other numbers, but that soul number tells you there's a part of them that they're withholding and they'll share it with you as they get to know you.
Like your GLYN. Yeah.
That's correct. It's like you don't know the whole story because that's the 7 that doesn't do that. The 7 stays back to observe before they speak.
Well, all sorts of great information. I think it's a constant conversation, but there's so much at numberslady.com. You can really look this up and find your own life path number and a compatibility number with other people that you work with. And fantastic. Thank you so much, Glynis. I appreciate your time and all the numbers information you always give.
And what I always do for your people, because a lot of them don't know numerology, we always assume everyone knows this stuff. They do not.
Right.
So if someone said, I don't know my blueprint, if they type Lisa in the promo code, they do get the numerology reading report. So the report just tells them about their 6 numbers and their
Mhm.
destiny. But there's also, are we soulmates? If you're in a partnership and you're wondering, should we be together? I have reports that answer that question. So
Yeah.
they just type Lisa and get a special discount.
Wow.
There you go.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. Type in
Thank
Lisa
you.
and you'll get a special discount.